Need your ellipse chart, so go back to your notes from like 9.4b or 9.4a. That chart will be at the top of that note sheet, and that will be helpful to fill out your information so we can graph ellipses again. Okay, so today we're on the second part to graphing ellipses. This time it's not given to us in standard form, and we need to first put it into standard form. Okay, so just like with parabolas and with circles, to put this into standard form, you're going to have to complete the square. Okay, the same thing will be true in our next section. So if you still don't know how to complete the square, you need to pay attention so you understand it. Okay, because it's the same thing for every single section in this chapter. So our first step here, again, to putting this into standard form, we want to group our x's together. Okay, so I have this 9x squared and I have a 72x. I want to group those together. Okay, I want to do the same thing with my y's. So I have 25y squared and minus 150y. Now this 144, I want to move to the other side of that equation. Okay, so I'm going to subtract it from both sides there. So now this will be equal to negative 144. Okay, so now here I have these x's grouped and these y's grouped. So with my x's, I need to factor out the number that's in front of x squared. Okay, so I need to factor out a 9 from those x's. I need to factor out that 9 from 72. Okay, and since I'm completing the square, I need to add something to that quantity to complete that square. Same thing with my y's. Whatever number's in front of y squared, you need to factor it out from those values with y's. So I have 25 of y squared minus 6y, and I need to add something to complete the square there. Now this is equal to that negative 144, and since I added 2 things to the left side, I need to add 2 things to the right side. Okay, so to get our number for completing the square, that's when we take b over 2a squared. Huh? It's been like that forever. Thank you for the distraction. So our formula for completing the square to find that final term is b over 2a squared. Now when we're using this, we're only looking at what's in the parentheses. Okay, so our b value in this case would be 8. Okay, so we have 8 over 2, and your a value should be 1 when you're completing the square. That's a 1. B. Okay, so now I have 8 over 2. That's 4. 4 squared is 16. We're going to do the same thing here. So again, I have b over 2a squared. My b value here is negative 6. Okay, so I have negative 6 over 2. It's negative 3. Negative 3 squared is 9. So now I need to replace my blanks with what I'm adding in there. Okay? Okay. Now to get these two blanks that I was missing here, okay, I need to multiply what I got as my answer and the number out front. Okay, so I need to multiply 9 times 16. Okay, to get that number, I get 144. And then I also need to multiply 9 and 25 to get this number here. Okay, that's 225. So over on the right here, I'm adding 144 and 225.
The answer is 225.
Okay, so next what I want to do is finish completing the square for each of my quantities. So I need to take the square root of my first term and my last term. So I still have this 9. I get an x. When I take the square root of 16, I end up with 4. And then I want to look to that middle term to see if it's positive or negative. Since it's positive, we're going to add. And then that quantity is squared. Okay, do that with my y's. Square root of y squared is just y. Square root of 9 is 3. Look to your middle term to see if it's positive or negative. It is negative. And then that quantity would be squared.
Equals a big number.
My 144s cancel out, so it'll be 225. Now for your ellipse, in your equation, for your standard form, they always have to equal 1. Okay, so somehow I have to get this equal to 1.
Divide everything. Oh, you divide everything by 225?
Yes. So you're going to divide everything by 225. Okay, so when I do that, you're going to reduce this fraction here, because this number up here should cancel out. Okay, so that means you're going to divide 225 by 9.
Which is 1 over 25.
Yes. So I'll end up with x plus 4 squared over 25, since I'm dividing both of those by 9. For this one, I'm dividing both by 25. Okay, and when I divide over here, I should end up with 1. Okay, and this would be your standard form. So from here, we are able to pick out that information in order to graph this ellipse then, just like we did yesterday. So my first step is to look at my denominators and see which one is greater. Okay, this one is greater. That is your a squared value, meaning this is b squared. So if I look at my ellipse table, if a squared is underneath that x, this would be horizontal. Okay, so this is a horizontal ellipse. And next I can find my center and the rest of this here. So my center is at HK. H is always with x. So that's -4, 3. To find your major axis, you need to take 2 times a, meaning I need to find my a value. So a would be equal to the square root of 25. So your major axis is 10. My minor axis is 2 times b. So to find b, we'll take the square root of 9 to get 3. That will make that 6 units. Now to find your vertices, you're going to use your chart here. Since it is horizontal, to find these vertices, we'll take h plus a, k, and h minus a, k. Okay, so I'll take my h value of -4, add on my a value of 5, so I have -4 plus 5 is 1. And then k will stay the same at 3. Take your h value, -4 again, minus your a value 5, so -4 minus 5 is -9. And again, k stays the same. Next, I need my covertices. So again, looking to my chart right here. So to find my covertices, I'll have h, comma, k plus b, and h, k minus b. So my h value stays the same, that's at -4. K is 3. We'll add on 3 for B, so that will be 6. Again, H stays the same at -4. And then we'll take 3 for our K and subtract 3, which is B, so 0. Okay, then we need to find these foci points, meaning we need our C value. So to find C, we'll take a squared minus b squared. So we have 25 minus 9. Yep. Take the square root. So C is 4. So I'm going to use again my chart here. So I'll have H plus C, K, and H minus C, K. Okay, so I'll have my -4 plus 4 is 0. K stays the same at 3. Then I have -4 minus 4, -8, and then K stays the same. Okay, and then your last step is to graph your center, your vertices, and your covertices, and your foci points. So my center is at -4, 3. Vertices, 1, 3, and -9, 3. Covertice, -4, 6, and -4, 0. I can connect those to make that oval shape. And then my foci points I have at 0, 3, and -8, 3. So it should look something like this. Any questions on our first one? Okay, so it's similar to what we did yesterday. Except you just have to complete the square and find that standard form first. We good? Okay, so again, we're going to do the same process for our second example here. So first we need to group our x's, group our y's, and put that constant on the other side. So that means I'm going to need to subtract 52. Then I can group my x's here together. And group my y's. Okay, and if you have a number next to your squared values, you want to factor that out. So we have to factor out this 4 from our x's. We need to add something next to that 8x to complete the square. For your y squared, there's just a 1 next to it, so we don't have to factor anything out from our y's. So that will stay as y squared minus 4y. And again, we need to add something to complete the square. And whatever I do to one side, to do to the other. So I'll add 2 blanks there. So again here, to get this value, we'll take our b value of negative 8, divide by 2a, and square it. So negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. That squared is 16. Okay, same thing for this one. Take our b value, negative 4, divide by 2, and square it. So we have negative 2 squared is 4. Okay, so here now I have 4 times the quantity x squared minus 8x plus 16 plus y squared minus 4y plus 4 equal to negative 52. Now I need to add to these blanks here. So to get this first one, I need to multiply these two numbers together. So I'll multiply 16 times 4. That's 64. So I need to add 64 here. For this one, since there's a 1 out here, if you multiply those together, you'll just end up with 4. So I can add 4 to this side. And down here as well. Okay, next I just have to finish completing the square. So square root of the first and last term. So we have x and a 4. This is a minus 8. So I should subtract, that's squared, plus we have y and 2, that's minus, so subtract. Okay, and then add your 3 terms together here, that's 16. Okay, next I need this equation to equal 1, so I have to divide both sides by 16. Reduce your fraction here. So we have x minus 4 squared over 4 plus y minus 2 squared over 16. And it should equal 1. Okay, next I want to see which one of these denominators is my bigger number. So 16 is your greater number, so that is your a squared value. That makes 4 your b squared value. Okay, so I can find my center. H is next to x. B is next to y. I forgot to tell you which way it goes. Since a squared is underneath y, a squared underneath y, that would make this vertical. Okay, so this is vertical. Now I can state my center. That is at 4, 2. Finding the length of your major axis, you'll take 2 times a. So to find a, we're going to take the square root of 16. That's 4. So 2 times 4 would be 8. Minor axis, you'll take 2 times b. To find b, we'll take the square root of 4. That's 2. So your minor axis will be 4 units. Okay, next I want to find the vertices, so I should be using this table here. Your vertices for this one, since it's vertical, are at h comma k plus a and h comma k minus k a. Okay, so h will stay the same as 4. For the second one, we'll take 2 plus our a value, so 6. Again, h stays the same. Take your k value of 2, subtract 4, so 2 minus 4 is negative 2. Okay, next I want to find the covertices in my table. I'm going to take h plus b, okay, and h minus b, okay. So h is 4. We want to add b, which is 2, so 4 plus 2 is 6. And then k will stay the same. Then we'll take h again, 4, and subtract our b value of 2. So 4 minus 2 is 2, and then k stays the same at 2. Okay, last we need to find c. So c squared will be equal to our a squared value minus our b squared value. So c will be about 3.5. Okay, so our foci points are at h, k plus c, and h, k minus c, since it is vertical. So h is 4, then we'll take 2, add on 3.5, so you get 5.5, then again we're keeping h the same. Take our k value of 2 and subtract 3.5 to get negative 1.5. Okay, and then last step is to just graph it. So I'll plot my center point at 4, 2. Plot my vertices at 4, 6 and 4, negative 2. And then co-vertices at 6, 2 and 2, 2. Okay, and I can make this oval shape here. And then my foci points I have at 4, 5.5, and 4, negative 1.5. Any questions? So it's just an extra